Hey guys, just a disclaimer, I am recording this at about 3 a.m. in the morning, so that's just a little disclaimer as to why my voice sounds a little bad, or maybe I'm stuttering a little more, or if I'm repeating some things, or if I sound a little tired and hazy and quiet. So just wanted to put that out there. I hope you all enjoy this video. Hey everyone, what's up? Welcome back to the Conflict of Nick channel. I'm your host Nick. I'm sorry for being away so long. It's been a very stressful summer so far, and there's a lot of stuff going on. But today I'm going to start doing more stuff for you guys again. Today I'm going to be going over how to manage your morale in Conflict of Nations, things you should know about, what you should avoid, what you should do, and overall how this will help and impact your gameplay in the game. Be sure to subscribe and like the video. It really helps me out and it really keeps me motivated to do this kind of stuff for you. I know my schedule hasn't been the best, but I'm still trying to work on that. It's a work in progress every day. But why don't we get right into the video? So the game I'm going to be using today as an example is a game I've been playing for a couple weeks. As you can see, it's day 55. I decided to queue up as New Zealand after the new city count update, where they basically reduced a lot of the city counts and cities for a lot of nations. A lot of nations with 6 cities were reduced to 5. A lot of nations with 7 were reduced to 6, with 8 to 7, 9 to 8, etc., etc. And the US and Russia down to 9 as well, for example. So a lot of reductions were made. So I decided to try out a nation that wasn't really impacted, New Zealand. And this game has been really interesting. I started out as a solo and I was doing really well. I'm going to go into political view here. I took a lot of Asia, and there was a huge coalition in Africa, and I befriended a couple people in South America after I got in the war with these guys because they were being pushy. Now, one thing that has stood out to me so much in this game in particular has been morale. Morale has been a big part in how we have basically been able to win. I almost collapsed to morale, but saved it. The Congo, as you can see here, has basically had so many insurgents pop up, and you would wonder why. And we're going to get into that. Libya as well, Belarus, all of them, insurgents are running rampant. In this game, the insurgents are almost close to winning. They are the top in VP, victory points. So they have the most victory points in the game compared to anybody right now, which is insane. So we're going to cover why that is. So first of all, what is morale? Well, if you look in my capital of Wellington, we can see that there is a morale meter here of 95%. Your capital is always going to be the highest. Now, a morale is basically how happy your people are, how happy your citizens are in the specific province or city you are clicking on. So, for example, my capital is going to be the highest because it's the capital of your nation, obviously, while an occupied city is going to be way less. As you can see there, 43%. Now, in the meter, on desktop at least, you can actually get an info tab that tells you a lot of what happens. Now, based on knowledge I have from morale basically affects everything from how fast you can build things. Of course, when you build buildings in certain cities, the morale actually can slow down the production speed of buildings and units, etc. And also it affects heavily the production of your resources as well. So morale plays a big factor, just as your population amount does. As your population amount decreases, your morale, your resource production, will decrease along with your population. And so morale also takes a turn in that, because basically the lower your population gets, the lower your morale can also trend. So population and morale will similarly trend as well in most cities. If a city is getting bombarded and the population starts getting killed off and going down, morale will also decrease significantly. So morale is a huge factor, and it's one of the most important things in the game because, as I've said, one of the most powerful nations in this game, the Congo, has basically collapsed due to insurgents. So that is how they have collapsed. So what can you do to increase your morale, especially in emergencies? Well, factors that increase or decrease morale can also be found in the info tab. As you can see, there is a lot of info in this info tab. The morale is 95%, as you can see in the top handbar. The morale trend is rising because I've taken care of some of the things that were causing it to go down. There will be rising, stable, and decreasing. Rising is what you want, stable is okay, decreasing is not what you want. The morale trend is very helpful, and it will tell you what direction you're going and if you need to make some desperate moves or countermeasures to counter this. Morale factors are very important as well. Morale factors, as you can see here from me, civilian casualties caused will be basically I have had to bombard a lot of cities with targets in them, and that has in turn killed off population of enemy countries, which will obviously make my population unhappy because of civilian casualties. This was around -12 or 14. That was really bad. So I stopped for a while, and it's significantly gone down, which is really good. So that's one thing that you need to be aware of, is that bombarding cities or launching nuclear weapons, basically killing off population, will be one of the biggest factors in why your morale will go down. And that is something you want to be mindful of. Civilian casualties will not always be bad. I feel weird saying that. As long as they are not in mass quantities. Like the Congo, for instance, he used, I think, 20 intercontinental ballistic missiles and hit cities, and obviously those decimate population, and so his morale plummeted to the ground. That is not something you want to do. And if you bombard cities forever or bomb cities forever, yeah, that's going to do the same thing. So you don't want to do that. You want to keep things stable and be mindful of how much you're bombarding, especially cities. Now, obviously, as well, the amount of nations you're at war with is going to make your population happy or unhappy. I'm at war with 8 nations still, because I'm obviously at war with 5 nations, a 5-man coalition, and a couple wars, as well as Rogue Nation, that I have not been able to end. So those will be a big factor in how well your morale does as well. If you don't have many wars, your population is going to be happy. If you're in a lot of wars, your population is going to be very unhappy. That is why you want to end wars as soon as you can. For example, one thing I want to do is end the war with Iran. The enemy coalition left some provinces here and there that are just sitting there, still in Iran's hands, and that's making all of our morale go down. Kazakhstan as well. So that's a big problem. So I ended a couple wars that I had going on previously, which also made it go down a little bit. I believe it's, for every nation you're at war with, it's -2 for morale, which is really bad. And now you can see the buildings we have. The underground bunker is one of the most helpful buildings when it comes to your morale. Bunkers can increase morale. I believe they're the only building that can do so. Hospitals can do so indirectly because they increase population, but if you want instant, basically, morale increase, bunkers are going to be the way to go. Bunkers are going to save your population, make sure that they don't all get killed off, and they're also going to just flat out increase your morale, which is really good. And obviously you can see my headquarters here is giving me a base boost of plus 25 for my morale, because that is the capital of my nation, my country. So that is the biggest part. Those are the biggest things that you can worry about for your own nation that are going to affect your morale in the game. Now, things you want to think about. Like I've mentioned, you don't want to cause civilian casualties. This is what the Congo did. He launched a bunch of ICBMs and killed off a bunch of population and got his morale down. So what do you want to do to counter that? Well, you don't want to do that. And if you want to use nuclear weapons, you want to use them very sparingly, and I use that word very heavily, not lightly. You don't want to really use nuclear weapons on cities, especially, because they're going to negatively impact you way more than they will benefit you. Because sure, the country you launch it at will lose a bunch of buildings and population, but they can just clear that radiation. Brazil got nuked, I think, 5 times, and he's still fine. He's trucking. And the Congo lost basically all of his occupied cities. They're all around 30%. Even his homeland cities were around 35%. they were all burning. So he is significantly impacted in a bad way. His friends as well. And one thing that was a problem for them is that I was keeping this war going on for such a long time and inflicting so many casualties to them that I was able to do basically whatever I wanted. I took their capital, Libya's capital of Tripoli, and that basically destroyed his country indirectly. So now we go on to the crisis that I was facing. How to deal with widespread dissent. As you can see, there's always that thing in the news about widespread dissent, and you'll see this a lot in the game because everybody's going to be in a lot of wars, they're going to be in a lot of conflicts, and you're going to see this pretty frequently in the news in the game. So if we go here to the population morale tab, you can see I'm light green, light yellow, and over here in the occupied territories in the more war-torn area, it's orange, dark orange, red. The Chad is green because he's been AFK pretty much and hasn't been involved. The Congo's yellow. The Congo was really deep orange. Libya's orange as well. And as you can see here, South America is generally green and light yellow. Belarus is also not looking too good, but he's still alright. Europe is basically all orange and red because obviously it's a lot of occupied territory by Rogue State now, and that hasn't been very well for them. Now, what I was going through was a really bad issue. Obviously, I had to bombard some stuff. I had a lot of Air Force bombings going on against military targets. In Asia, they launched a full assault. But really, what the biggest thing impacted me was the amount of nations I was at war with and my bombardments. So all of my cities got about 35%, and I was at a breaking point, and I was at a negative trend. So I had to do something. So I even pulled out an emergency reserve. I started producing National Guards and putting them in cities that I needed the resources most of to make sure they did not go rogue. I put National Guards in component cities because I did not want to lose them to rogues because I was that worried that I was going to have a mass insurgency. So I did what I had to do. There's another thing that impacts morale that is really important, that was really screwing me over. That is your neighbors, or aka enemy provinces or cities that are close to your friendly or occupied cities. So basically the proximity in which there are enemy provinces or cities nearby, and that was decreasing their morale significantly. So I pushed all the way through India with one infantry at a time, just clearing out as much land as I could to get the front line farther away. And I also cleared out the war with Myanmar and another war, I forget which nation. As an emergency measure, I just pushed right into where they were isolated, and I ended those wars just like that. And within, I think, the same day, I finally hit the trend stable and rising, and I saved all of my cities from going rogue. It was almost like that close from me going rogue and from Rogue State basically winning the game, because all my infantry were occupied. I could not handle a mass insurgency, and I'm very glad that was prevented. But that's one thing I want to share with you guys because it's so important, because it just goes to show how morale, something as simple as your population morale, can simply collapse nations. I mean, look at the Congo. Basically, his homeland cities were almost as low as occupied cities, and his occupied cities have already all gone rogue. And you know what that does to your resource production and just overall your nation's integrity. It makes it really, really bad. Now, Argentina, I can see here, is making mistakes. He's a newer player, and I'm trying to teach him a little bit. He's bombarding cities a lot, and the population is at minimum right now. These ships are going to make his morale go down very badly. As you can see, he's yellow already. His cities are going to start going down really, really fast here. But he does have high-level bunkers, as you can see, in his cities. He's got level 3 bunkers, and that will be really beneficial for him. It's plus 20% morale for him right now, which is pretty good. That's not bad. but he needs to stop bombarding all these cities permanently, because what he's doing is he is automatically lowering his morale. What I did was I stopped my ships and basically gave them a little bit of respite so that they did not again cause more of a negative morale trend. One other thing that has been used a lot in this game is spies. There was a full-on spy war, and one of the biggest factors with morale would be one of these spy types. That would be, I believe it would be the corruption spy. Agents on corruption missions wreak havoc among the enemy's resource production and population morale. So basically, they will steal resources, they will decrease morale, I think in increments by 5 or 10%, which would be really heavy damage, especially in a homeland city, or if you just want to cause chaos in occupied cities and sprout insurgencies. One of the prime things you can do with those is you can cause insurgencies, and basically it's almost like fighting a second war. Basically, they were fighting me, and I opened up a new front I called Rogue State My Ally, because Rogue State was a big problem for them because there was so much of it. And one of the things that causes a lot of morale drop, as I said, is your capital falling. And basically, the agents combined with a falling of a capital will basically make a nation almost unrecoverable. Libya never recovered and was destroyed, and the Congo is on the same downward trend, and he is going to meet his fate eventually. Also, something I wanted to mention to you all, I don't know if this is completely true or not, but something I've noticed with morale is that one thing that actually affects it very heavily is actually manpower, I think. I've done events in the past, and people know that, and I think one thing I've noticed is that basically, if you have a nation that has a lot of negative manpower trends, or basically has zero manpower as well, but a large army, and you're using up a lot of your resources, I think your morale will actually automatically start going down, because I've seen nations that are at war with nobody, who haven't attacked anybody, just all of a sudden their homelands are burning. And so I think that that is also a unique and bizarre factor, which would make some sense in their retrospect. But that is just one thing I wanted to share as well. And overall, I think that is all pretty much everything that I think I need to cover from morale, unless I missed something. I wanted to make a quick video for you guys. I know I haven't made much content regarding Conflict of Nations lately. As I said, it's been a very stressful time, and also right now especially, I have very painful things in my mouth. I've had braces for I think 2 years now, and the lady didn't do the wires very good, so I'm having a hard time talking right now especially. So I wanted to make this quick video though, because I know that everybody wants to see it, and I really do apologize for the really awful uploading schedule. I know it's stupid, but I'm still uploading for you guys, and that's what counts to me. And I think that as long as I'm trying to please you guys, that maybe you will keep coming back and maybe you will stick around. So guys, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a thumbs up, and if you didn't like it, you can leave a thumbs down. In the comments, you can ask questions, you can talk about things I missed, you can talk about what you liked, what you didn't like, and if you just want to say hi. And also, please subscribe. It's the single biggest thing that helps my channel grow, and it keeps me motivated to do these sorts of videos for you guys. So I hope you all enjoyed this video, and if there's something I missed, please let me know. And I will see you all in the next video. Let me know what you want to see next. Nick out.